Hi YouTube. Today I am very excited because I'm going to review my all-time favorite book, Musashi by Japanese author Eiji Yoshikawa. I first found this book in the early 2000s as a 5-volume set. My mother purchased it from a second-hand bookseller, and we only had back then, and we only had 4 volumes of the 5-volume set. I was missing the last one, so I had my father buy this, all 5 volumes in one set. And let me tell you, it is my all-time favorite book because no novel has ever transported me somewhere else in a different place and time and had me relate to the characters as good as this book has. I really was transported to a different time period and a different geographical location, and I could really visualize it because the writing is so beautiful. And the story itself is a story of a Ronin, which is a masterless samurai, a masterless swordsman in Japan from the 1600s. Now, he was a real-life person. He was a real historic figure. But this is something of a fictionalized narrative. It takes as many real events, real historic events as possible, but it's weaved together overall into a fictional narrative. So all the gaps between historic events, between what they do know, they fill it in, they bind it all together with a fictional narrative. And that's just beautiful to me. That's just beautiful. The only criticism I would say, though, is it only chronicles 12 years of Musashi's life, from 1600 to 1612. It chronicles his rise to fame. And with a book so beautifully written, you just want more. I want to know everything that happened before 1600 and everything that happened after 1612 in his life. Because I just wanted more. This is one of very few books that I've actually read 3 times. I almost never read a book more than 2 times. This is one of very, very few books that I've read 3 times. So, as I said, it's beautifully written, and it takes me to the different place, into a different time and place. But the interesting thing is, this is a translation from Japanese. Now, it was first published as a series in the 1930s in a newspaper or magazine, and then it was compiled into one volume in Japanese in 1971 by an individual who might be related to the author, called Fumiko Yoshikawa. You should double check on that because I don't know. But then in 1981, it was translated into English by Charles S. Terry, and by an individual called Charles S. Terry. And if this is a translation from Japanese to English, if I found the English translation that beautiful, I cannot imagine how beautiful it would be if I actually understood the Japanese language and could read it in its original language. I bet it would be even more epic in its original language. I don't know, maybe some Japanese readers can tell me how they found this book when they read it. Anyway, so I'm not going to mention too many Japanese names and places because I'm going to butcher the pronunciations. Which is why I'm not going to get into the story in this review very much. But yeah, the story has a lot of Americanized feeling towards it. There's like a Wild West feel. Adventure. So there's details of adventure, of lawless lands where law enforcement is lax. So it's wild, untamed frontier side kind of feel. So there is that, and this book has sometimes been said it's the Japanese equivalent of a book called Gone with the Wind, which was actually written in 1936. I haven't read Gone with the Wind. I probably could talk about it in a future video. So there is that. And yeah, one thing. Now, I said this book is so beautifully written, it transports me to this other place and time. It's so well written. The writing is so poetic. One thing I do like about this book is one particular aspect is sometimes when a character enters the scene, they describe how the person looks like, they describe how their actions and so on. And only when they start speaking, or a little bit later into the narrative, into the chapter, do they actually introduce the character by name. And it might be somebody we already know. It might be someone who has already appeared earlier in the book. But then they reintroduce the character by describing the actions they're taking, like, oh, the swordsman jumps out from behind the tree. And then he says this, and then they reveal, oh, it's that person who appeared much earlier. That's a very interesting way of writing. Anyway, my only other criticism, other than this being just chronicling 12 years of the samurai's life, the Ronin's life rather. He wasn't a samurai. Maybe he was a samurai later in life if he did have a master. The one other bit of criticism I have of this book is sometimes it gets the chronology a little bit mixed up. Like, it's been a year, but really it's just been 9 months. It's been like a month, but really it was just 2 weeks. Sometimes they get the chronology a little bit mistaken, or was a little confusing. The timing is a bit confusing. So that is one negative thing. Anyway, there's more. So, if I might repeat myself, so I apologize. In case you don't know, a Ronin is a swordsman who does not serve a lord or master, and is practicing his swordsman skills, but without serving anybody. That's what a Ronin is. A samurai serves a lord, serves a local warlord, a governor, an emperor, or a shogun. That's just in case you didn't know what that is. Now, this book, when I read it, like I said, it transported me to a different place in time. I really, really, really wish I could visit Japan one day to go to the places described in this book. Anyway, I really enjoyed this review, and I do hope if there are any videos if any of you watch my videos, please watch this one, because this is the book I want to tell you about the most. My all-time favorite book. Okay, thanks for listening.